Okay, so today we're going deep on something really powerful.
Powerful.
Yeah, reconciliation and shared narratives.
Okay.
Even when people have gone through intense loss and historical conflict, like we're talking serious stuff.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Intense.
It is, but it's also really hopeful.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
So we've got these amazing sources
Oh, cool.
focusing on two people. Maoz Inon.
Maoz Inon.
He's an Israeli man who lost both of his parents in the recent conflict.
Oh, wow.
And then Aziz Abu Sarah.
Okay.
He's a Palestinian peace activist who's all about building bridges between communities.
So two very different perspectives,
Totally.
but both focused on peace.
Yeah, and that's what's so fascinating, right?
Yeah, I mean, how is that even possible after going through so much pain?
Right.
You'd think it would push them in the opposite direction.
I know, it's incredible.
So how do they do it?
Well, that's what we're going to explore.
Okay, let's dive in.
Let's start with Maoz Inon's story. His parents were killed, and the details are just heart-wrenching. His mother was so badly burned they couldn't even identify her.
Oh, my goodness.
Just unimaginable, the grief he must have felt.
Yeah, it's just a brutal reminder of how conflict can just tear families apart.
Absolutely.
Just shatter lives.
Here's the thing. Even in the midst of this unimaginable grief, Maoz had this dream.
Had a dream.
Yeah, he describes seeing all of humanity, like everyone is just weeping alongside him.
Wow.
And their tears, they were like washing away the blood-soaked earth.
That's powerful imagery.
I know, really.
Like cleansing the wounds of war.
Exactly. And when he woke up from this dream, he was just overwhelmed with this this deep sense that he needed to choose peace.
Peace over revenge.
Yeah.
Even after everything he'd been through.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, the dream itself is so symbolic.
Yeah, what do you think it means?
Well, the collective weeping, I think it suggests that grief, it's not just an individual thing.
Right, it's something we all experience.
Exactly, it connects us.
Like a shared human experience.
And the cleansing imagery, it hints at the possibility of healing,
Renewal.
even after such profound loss.
I wonder if the dream was a way for Maoz to find meaning in his grief.
Oh, totally.
Connecting it to a larger purpose.
Yeah, like shifting his focus from revenge to something more.
To healing.
Yeah, and reconciliation.
It gave him a new way to see his loss.
Definitely. And it wasn't just the dream,
Oh, right. What else?
His mother, she was a mandala artist.
Oh, wow.
And she'd given him one with this inscription.
What did it say?
It said, "We can achieve all our dreams if we have the courage to follow them."
Wow, that's beautiful.
I know, right?
And so powerful in this context.
Totally becomes like this guiding principle for him.
Like a reminder of his mother's legacy.
And her belief in courage and perseverance.
It's amazing how he took that to heart.
It really is. He goes on to build this successful career in tourism.
Tourism.
Yeah, working with people from all different nationalities and backgrounds.
So he's literally building bridges. Right. Putting those words into action.
It's like he's taking that inscription and making it real.
Creating connections through his work.
Now let's switch gears and talk about Aziz Abu Sarah.
Okay.
His path to peace started with a different kind of loss.
Oh, how so?
Well, when he was only 10 years old, his brother Tazir was killed by Israeli soldiers.
Oh my gosh, he was just a child.
I know, it's just heartbreaking.
I can't imagine the impact that must have had on him.
Right, to lose a sibling like that.
Especially under such violent circumstances.
It's a stark reminder of how conflict can fracture families and communities.
And leave these deep scars that can last for generations.
Exactly. And initially, that's exactly what happened with Aziz.
He wanted revenge.
Yeah, he was filled with anger and resentment.
Understandably so.
Right.
But something changed.
It did. He started learning Hebrew. And interacting with Jewish immigrants in Israel.
Wow, so he immersed himself in the other side's culture.
Yeah, he wanted to understand them.
To see the conflict from a different perspective.
Exactly, and that's such a crucial point.
It is. You have to be willing to step outside of your own echo chamber.
And engage with different viewpoints.
That's where real transformation can happen.
And it did for Aziz.
He chose peace.
Even after losing his brother.
It's incredible.
It makes me think of this story he told about his friend Abdel Rahim.
Abdel Rahim.
This guy lost 50 relatives in the recent conflict.
50.
Yeah. But get this, he still advocates for peace.
That's unbelievable.
Right.
What enables people like Aziz and Abdel Rahim to choose peace after enduring so much suffering?
It's a question that really makes you think.
It does. It makes you wonder about the limits of seeking solace in retribution.
Yeah, maybe it's realizing that perpetuating violence won't bring their loved ones back.
And it'll only lead to more suffering.
Exactly.
Aziz also tells this really poignant story about his father praying in a synagogue for the first time.
Oh, wow.
It just highlights the divisions that often exist between communities.
Such a powerful image, right?
It is like these arbitrary lines that divide people.
Even those who share a common faith.
Yeah, and it also suggests that even with all those historical divisions, there's still this human desire for connection.
For understanding.
Exact.
And that's essentially what Aziz has dedicated his life to
achieving that understanding.
He co-founded Megiddo Tours and Interact International.
What are those?
They're organizations that facilitate dialogue and understanding between Israelis and Palestinians.
Oh, that's interesting.
Megiddo Tours, because it's particularly fascinating because Megiddo is this site with a long history of conflict.
Oh, wow.
So they're transforming it into a place for fostering dialogue.
It's like reclaiming the narrative,
Right.
Rewriting the history of that location.
I'm curious, though, how do these tours actually work?
Well, they focus on presenting balanced narratives,
Okay.
showcasing both Israeli and Palestinian perspectives on the conflict.
So they take people to sites that are significant to both cultures.
Yeah, and they encourage participants to really engage with the complexities of the history.
To see the land through different lenses.
Exactly. It's about fostering empathy and understanding.
By exposing people to narratives that challenge their preconceived notions.
Right, because it's not just about sightseeing.
It's about actively engaging with the history and the people.
Yeah, and Interact International takes a different approach.
How so?
They focus on collaborative projects between Israelis and Palestinians.
Interesting. What kind of projects?
Things like education, healthcare, economic development.
So it's about showing the tangible benefits of cooperation.
Exactly, demonstrating that they can achieve more by working together.
Than by remaining divided.
It's about building trust and understanding through shared experiences.
It's incredible to see how both Maoz and Aziz have dedicated their lives to peace building.
After everything they've been through.
It makes you think about the power of individual choice.
And the potential for human transformation.
There's something so hopeful about their stories.
It's inspiring.
They remind us that even amidst conflict, peace is possible.
If we're willing to listen to each other's stories.
And challenge our own biases.
And actively work towards a shared future.
But it's not always easy, is it?
No, it's definitely not.
There are bound to be challenges.
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly what we'll explore in part 2.
When we delve deeper into the lives and work of Maoz and Aziz.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about peace.
Right.
Like when it's all theoretical.
In the abstract.
Yeah, but it gets real.
Real.
When you face opposition.
When people challenge you.
Yeah, when they think your message is naive.
Or even dangerous.
Exactly.
And both Maoz and Aziz, they've experienced that
pushback.
Big time.
From who?
From their own communities.
Oh, wow, that's gotta hurt.
It does.
Like being told you can't forgive.
You can't move on.
You have to hold on to the anger.
The pain.
Like there's this pressure to conform.
To stay within the lines of the conflict.
Don't rock the boat.
Maoz talks about being part of the generation of wars.
Oh, wow.
Growing up in a culture where violence was almost expected.
So ingrained.
He even says, we were raised to kill each other.
That's chilling.
I know it's heavy stuff.
Especially coming from someone who now advocates for peace.
It's mind-blowing, really.
It shows how much individuals can transform.
To break free from those patterns.
But it's not easy.
Definitely not a Saran. Aziz talks about the pressure that prevents Israelis and Palestinians from even talking.
Like it's taboo.
There are the physical barriers, obviously.
Checkpoints. But there are also these invisible barriers.
Fear.
Mistrust.
It's like you're not allowed to be friends with the enemy.
Right. Society dictates who you can interact with.
And that lack of understanding.
It breeds fear.
Suspicion.
It perpetuates the conflict.
It's a vicious cycle.
So how do you break that cycle?
How do you overcome generations of animosity?
And create space for dialogue?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is, but Maoz and Aziz offer some insights.
Okay, I'm listening.
Maoz says you have to know the other side's story.
To understand their narrative.
To see that there are multiple perspectives.
And multiple truths.
Exactly.
He also talks about finding common ground.
Shared values.
Both.
To build a shared future.
And that connects with Aziz's work, too.
How so?
He creates opportunities for dialogue and interaction.
Like his Megiddo tours.
They show both sides' narratives.
It's about seeing the conflict through different lenses.
And Interact International facilitates collaborations.
On projects that benefit both communities.
Education, healthcare, economic development.
It's about demonstrating the benefits of cooperation.
Working together instead of remaining divided.
Exactly, shifting from competition to collaboration.
But it's not just about programs and projects, right?
There's a personal element, too.
Building relationships.
Human connections.
Maoz talks about his work in tourism.
Bringing people together from different backgrounds.
And Aziz's work fosters collaborations that create a sense of common purpose.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness.
It's inspiring stuff.
It is. But how do they stay hopeful?
With all the resistance and conflict?
That's what makes their stories so powerful.
Their belief in forgiveness.
That's what we'll explore in part 3.
So, forgiveness.
A tough one.
Yeah. I mean, especially when we're talking about these deep historical wounds.
Ongoing violence.
It can feel kind of impossible.
Like, how do you even begin to forgive after everything they've been through?
Right.
It can feel like you're betraying the memory of what happened.
Like you're saying the pain doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So how do you even define forgiveness in this context?
Well, it's definitely not about forgetting.
Or excusing what happened.
No, it's about acknowledging the wrongs.
But not letting them control your future.
Maoz talks about forgiving the past and present.
But not the future.
It's an interesting distinction.
It is. What do you think it means?
I think it means you can recognize the harm that was done.
But you don't have to accept that it'll keep happening.
You can choose to move forward.
Without being defined by the past.
It's about breaking free from the cycle of violence.
Creating space for something new.
Aziz says forgiveness isn't weak.
It takes strength to choose a different path.
Especially when everyone around you is telling you to hold on to the anger.
And they've both faced criticism for their stance on forgiveness, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. People have called them naive.
Traitors, even.
Just for advocating for peace.
It's a reminder that forgiveness isn't easy.
It takes a lot of courage to stand up for what you believe in.
Especially when it goes against the grain.
But their belief in forgiveness seems to give them strength.
It's like fuel for their peace-building work.
It allows them to channel their pain into something positive.
So after learning about their journeys,
the loss, the commitment, the challenges,
and their belief in forgiveness,
what can we take away from all of this?
It's a powerful reminder that peace is a choice.
It's a decision we make every day.
To see the humanity in others.
Even those we might consider enemies.
To listen to their stories.
To challenge our own biases.
To work towards a shared future.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the conflict in the world.
But Maoz and Aziz, they show us that even small acts of understanding can make a difference.
Every act of compassion.
Every step towards forgiveness.
It all contributes to building a more peaceful world.
And that's a powerful message.
It really is.
It gives me hope.
Me too. It reminds me that change is possible.
Even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges.
So let's all choose peace.
Choose understanding.
Choose forgiveness.
And together, let's create a world where stories like Maoz and Aziz's become the norm.
A world where hope triumphs over hatred.
And where peace prevails over conflict.